Okay, so whatever I have to write it down, I will write it on the board. So there is no point of thinking that whether you can see me or not. I am standing and not in front of the camera. Okay. So what we were discussing last day was about the industrialization, right? Industrialization, and we have discussed about the important towns and trading of England. And then we have also discussed about that how coal and iron, which were the two raw materials of iron and steel industry, which was the two main raw material of iron and steel industry, was there available in England. And not only that, it gave England the opportunity to start the new revolution, right? So today we are going to discuss about a family of the Darbys, the Darby family, and their contribution towards the increased use of iron, how they have made the iron very important, that we will discuss today. So first thing is this, that okay, the first Darby, whose name was Abraham Darby, he brought about a revolution in the metallurgy industry. That means he brought a revolution in the metal industry. Why? Because he invented the first blast furnace in 1709. Now what is a blast furnace? Blast furnace is a place where the iron ore was or is melted. Understood? As I told you the process of making iron last day, I remember that when you make the iron, you need to melt the iron ore. So if you have a place which is not suitable for that kind of high temperature, good quality of iron will not be made. For example, blast furnace is like a chimney, like this. Okay, it is made of concrete, and the concrete which is used, or the concrete which was used there had such type of metals in it which could handle high temperature, because to melt the iron ore you need a high temperature where the iron ore will be melted, and then you need other minerals to put in, then the iron will be segregated and the other impurities will be segregated separately. So as I told you that before this time, before 1709, charcoal was used to melt the iron ore, and charcoal could not make high temperature. It was a very low flame with charcoal. But when a proper quality, good quality of coal was used, when a proper bit coal was used, then the temperature became very high. So if you don't have a blast furnace furnace like this, if you just have a kadai like this and you start melting the iron ore, before you melt the iron ore, the kadai will be melting. The whole kadai will be melting, right? So, to stop that, to stop this kind of activities, the blast furnace was invented by the first Darby, whose name was Abraham Darby. Whose name was Abraham Darby, and he invented his blast furnace in the year 1709. Clear? Next is the second Darby, the son of the Abraham Darby. Darby the second developed wrought iron from the pig iron. So what was wrought iron? Wrought iron you have seen in the market. It is a black kind of iron, and that black nature or that black color remains with it when the furnitures were made. Many iron furnitures I think you have seen in the market, which is black in color and have some rods and grills like feature. That is wrought iron. And when wrought iron was made, it was made easier that the iron could be used in different purposes. Means iron could be bent over, iron could be make a shaped, iron could be made in a bars. Different ways were there how the iron can be used. So the wrought iron or the useful iron was developed by the second Darby or Darby the second. As soon as this wrought iron was developed, another man whose name was Henry Cort, Henry, Cort spelling C-O-R-T. So Henry Cort, he designed a puddling furnace in which he used the same power to roll purified iron into bars. What is that? Like when from this blast furnace the iron is made, the iron is in a semi-liquid form. Then suddenly this iron has to be put in places in this area where it will be put inside, and then this total semi-liquid, very hot material will be rolled. Like we roll the chapatis, we roll the parathas, we roll the puris and luchis. So like that it will be rolled and a bar of iron will be created. Why? Why the bar is needed? Because then from bar you can make different things. You can make square, you can make sheet, you can make rod, different things you can make from that. Okay. So when wrought iron was made, then a puddle furnace was made where the melted iron was made into a roll, made into a bar by the steam power in rolling. Okay, fine. After this was done in 1770s, so in the late half of 18th century, we see another man whose name is John Wilkinson, who is making iron chairs. Then slowly iron chairs, iron bridges, iron pipes of all sizes were made and were distributed in the market. Then the third Darby, grandson of Abraham Darby or the Darby the third, in he made the first iron bridge in the world. The Wilkinson, the Colebrook Dell, spanning the river Severn Wilkinson. So the Colebrook Dell was known as the first bridge made of iron. In your book, if all of you are having the book, at page number 199, at the above right section there is a picture. and the picture says the cast iron bridge near Colebrook Dell. So this is the bridge. This is the iron bridge which was made in England near Colebrook Dell, which was the first iron bridge of the world. Just imagine that before that the bridges were made by wood, and that is why it was not very safe, it was not very secured, and it was not very sustainable. It's very obvious that wood and iron, there is no comparison, right? There is no comparison of this type of sustainability or durability, right? Okay, so clear or not, any problems? Others? Okay, fine. So next thing what we are going to discuss is the spinning and weaving. What is that? Spinning and weaving, which means the spinning and weaving is related to the cotton textile industry. This is the second industry which we are going to discuss in England, but we have to keep this in mind that cotton textile industry was the first industry to be industrialized in England. First it was cotton textile, then it was the iron and steel. First in cotton textile, government, they got a lot of money, they earned a lot of money, then they shifted their interest to other areas. So what happened? That cotton spinning or cotton clothes had a very good market in England. So from 17th century onwards, this cotton cloths, they had a very good market in England, and the British company, they had to take, or they used to take the cotton clothes from India to England. But as soon as the East India Company, after the Battle of got a political majority, got a political stability in England, they stopped buying cotton clothes from India. Why? Two reasons were there. One reason were the clothes were costly, and second reason, the time is after 1757. So in England they have completed the industrialization. So it is the post-industrial period. So as it is the post-industrialization period, factories and machines were there in England ready for weaving and spinning. So for these two reasons, after 1757, when British East India Company got a political authority in India, they stopped buying cotton clothes. Instead, they started taking raw cotton in a very cheaper rate from India. Understood? They started taking raw cotton in a cheaper rate from India to England and started to make the finished products there. After they completed making the finished products there, they again started to sell the finished products in India. Why? Those who are from the CBSE background and you have done the industrialization chapter in class 10, they know the reason. That because the British people who were very rich, they were not going to wear those machine-made uniform clothes. And England was a very cold country, there was a very less need of cotton clothes. But India was a country where the hot and humid climate was present like today. That's why we are wearing all these cotton type of clothes. So in this climate, hot and humid climate, cotton clothes were ideal. And as these clothes were machine made, they were cheaper. So they used to sell the finished products in India. But before they started selling the products in India, what actually happened that before the invention of spinning machines or spinning jenny or weaving looms, there was a gap within the weaving and spinning, because spinning was a very laborious work and it was a very time taking work. So what happened actually that nobody, means all the spinners were busy all the day, but the weavers were waiting when they are going to get the yarn and then they can start weaving. So that was a reason that there was a huge gap between the spinning and the weaving. But when the spinning jenny and weaving looms were invented in England, the gap, the time gap between the weaving and spinning, they merged together. Understood? So this is how the cotton spinning and weaving became one of the most important industries of England. Clear? So I'll stop here today, and then next day we will start from the steam power. Last day I was not present. What you did? Who took your class? Saurabh sir? Last day? Who took your class? Saurabh sir? Yes. So what you did? You have revised or wrote something? Okay, so why didn't you told that ma'am has completed up to this much, sir, you continue from this, then I could have gone from the steam power. Okay, fine, no problem. It was a kind of a revision to you, right? Fine. Okay. No. Fine, let me talk to sir first. Achha, all of you have no doubts in this topic which I discussed today, the derbies and the cotton spinning and weaving? No. Fine. So fine. So today I stop here, and next day we will start from the steam power. Okay.